We have a good show for you today. We're gonna go deep into politics, talk about the state of the Republican race, if it's even a race anymore at this point, um, and then we're gonna dive into Israel Palestinian conflict news. Probably get an update on Ukraine because we haven't talked about that in a while.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and
the Trump court dates, stuff like that.
yeah, we'll talk about more Trump court dates. And hopefully we'll see if he'll be running. By Super Tuesday for the Republican Party. So we'll definitely figure that out. Without further ado, I'll introduce Seth. How you doing, my man?
Going good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm just looking at this latest polls here. I mean, this new Republican presidential poll came out. Trump says like
Biden
six.
primary.
Yeah, Trump is like at 62%. DeSantis at 12. Haley's at 7. Ramaswamy's at 6, and everyone else is at 1%.
I'm honestly surprised DeSantis is still at second.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of
Pence.
really falling off. I mean, 12% is still it's a steep second place.
It's like the honorary second place.
Yeah.
No, Pence dropped out. Surprisingly.
Yeah. What was his latest polling at? Like, there wasn't more than like 3%.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then he knew he had to win Iowa, and he wasn't even pulling well in Iowa.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, before I embarrass myself and my legacy, let me go ahead and step out and reevaluate things."
Yeah, I don't know what base he really was catering to other than like the ultra religious conservatives, because he just to the Republicans he's framed as like some sort of moderate or something, simply because he went against Trump certifying the election or whatever. But he is far from moderate. Like, even in the Republican view, he's like ultra conservative on social issues, and then on economics he's just a Trump populist when it doesn't matter, and then when it actually matters, he's just as corporatist and far right economically as you could be. So it's like there really was no base for him.
Yeah.
The Trumpists were never going to vote for him because he betrayed Trump. There's nobody more evil to them than Mike Pence now. And he really can't really cater to conservatives, especially having run as Trump's vice president,
Yeah, he just had no lane. I mean, at the end of the day, he was trying to do the, like you said, all right thing, but the reality is it was just like that lane was already kind of taken up already by Trump because he's already secured that base.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know the lane he was going in. I just
pretty much just religious fundamentalists.
Yeah, I just don't think he was. I mean, if you look at where we end, the political climate, like a guy like that would never win the presidency anymore.
Yeah, he's a very 80s candidate.
Yeah, extremely 80s.
Yeah,
it's zero personality. I mean, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, he's just running on that stoicism. I feel like I would have expected Nikki Haley to be a lot.
Yeah,
more competitive.
She gives me this
so far.
Yeah, because she gives me the stoic vibe too, but she has a little more personality.
She's more like Romney 2012.
Yeah,
you know, I was expecting, because Romney in 2012 wasn't polling very high, and then all of a sudden it's like everyone else just sort of dropped around him or like dropped out, and there was just him, Ron Paul, Rick Santorum, Mike Huckabee or something. I don't know. It was.
I remember that Rick Santorum, man. He was doing well for a little bit there.
Yeah, my parents liked him, which is so embarrassing. I think they like Mike Huckabee more though.
Oh, the governor? Yeah.
He's almost as cringe though. But he thinks he's like cool because he plays like guitar or something. So
yeah. Good old Mike. I mean, good riddance, Pence. So hopefully, you figure out what to do in retirement. I heard some of his farewell speech saying that, it's never going to stop fighting. Yeah. It's never gonna stop fighting for conservative values. It's like, all right, man, good luck, bro. Good luck in retirement. So
I mean, I'm sure he has enough money. He can just. I mean, he lives in Indiana too, so
yeah, life shouldn't be that
that's
hard.
not. Yeah, they can't be that fun of a
What
retirement
is
to
in,
stay
so is
there.
India like? I've never been up there. Like,
Indiana,
yeah, what is that like?
literally as bland as you could possibly imagine somewhere to look. Like just grass, cornfields, like not even like nice grass, just like cornfields, other kinds of fields, kind of dirt colored, a few trees that are like not very densely populated. You know what I mean? It's just there's nothing for miles and miles. And then you get to Indianapolis and it kind of looks like a normal place, but like there's literally like you'll drive a mile, you'll see like two houses, and that's it. You know?
So it's like really rural.
Yeah, it's really Indiana's incredibly rural. I mean, it's very similar to what southern Michigan looks like too. I'm from Michigan,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
southern Michigan's kind of like that too. And then you get up to it's a lot more like Canada. The more north you get, but yeah,
Okay.
it's very boring the Midwest in that little area. I can't imagine living there voluntarily.
So yeah. So all right, if I'm gonna go travel up to the Midwest, you're saying then I need to go to Chicago, yeah,
Yeah, you got
or
to go to the cities.
Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, Detroit's cool. Detroit's cool. It's actually getting a lot better now. The
Yeah.
uh, the mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan, he
Mhm.
actually is major proponent. Like, just look at his Twitter of the land value tax,
Oh wow.
which I think is very cool. You know, because
Yeah.
politicians for some reason don't talk about it that much, but it's like one of the most universally respected economic policies. It's like uniformly agreed upon. There's no deadweight laws, super efficient progressive tax, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But like nobody talks about it. But Mike Duggan,
He's the
he's trying
guy.
to make he's trying to figure it out because
Yeah.
like something I've talked about on the show.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty.
The property tax is a direct form of institutional racism. That's what I was gonna say, and that's why we need to replace it with a land value tax
Hmm.
because it funds public schools, and if public schools are funded by your property value, by your the value of your neighborhood, and you're born into systemic like they're pushed into the urban centers where things are not well maintained.
Hmm.
You can't expect to have really good schools, and you're born into a system where you have a school that can't attract teachers and they have to pay out of their pocket for school supplies.
Yeah.
So that
No,
just go ahead.
no, I agree with you, and that's why the land value tax makes sense. I mean, it's something that we've always championed in terms of ways of driving up revenue.
Yeah.
Tax revenue, and kind of getting off the backs of like income tax because we all know that's not really a fair process.
Hmm.
So, so yeah, I definitely I'm glad to know that someone's out here championing that. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's hopefully makes it to the state level and we start hearing about him more. I mean, it's not much we're gonna really hear about him in Detroit. He's in Detroit, mayor, right?
Yeah, but he's also like 66, so I don't expect him to go much higher than where he's at.
Oh,
But
oh,
he's
okay,
he's got ties with Gretchen Whitmer.
oh, okay,
So I mean, I just saw a picture of them together. That's the only reason I say it. But
yeah. Have you heard anything else about your boy Dean Phillips? Anything new?
I was literally just watching a video. I don't. I think if I'm being honest, I'm not seeing Democrats being super receptive of this. I haven't seen any polls yet, but
Well,
I don't
nationally,
know. Yeah, go ahead.
when you look at the polls nationally, um, Trump is kind of separating himself from Biden.
Yeah, no, I was literally looking at a poll like an hour ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it had Trump beating Biden in tons of critical states by like 6 to 10% and crazy amounts. And I literally saw the exact same polling process, like it's SUNY Institute. I don't remember exactly which
Mm-hmm.
one, but it was the same polling thing, and they polled Trump versus generic Dem, and instead of Trump being up by like 6 to 10, Trump was down to generic Dem by 6 to 10, and pretty much every one of the same states. Like, so it's basically saying that the America would vote for anybody. They vote for a Democrat. They would love to vote for a Democrat. It's just not Biden and just not Kamala Harris. Literally anyone else. So
Yeah,
that's why it's like, bro, if it gets down to it and it's just Biden and Trump, obviously we got to go Biden. But can we do anything, everything possible to make it not be Biden versus Trump? Like on both sides, no Biden, no Trump. That's
I
what I
I
think.
don't know, man. The polling's not good, and to be trailing, but I mean, the reason why it's not good is like this guy's been indicted like 4 or 5 times, and he was
Yeah,
still trailing him. So it's not good, and I don't think it's because of Biden. I just think it's his age. It's
yeah, it's
all
literally
not.
just his age.
It's and it's like no
And
one
people,
likes that. Hmm?
no, and people know that voting for Biden really means voting for Kamala Harris,
Yep.
who is just also not proven to be a leader, not proven to be anybody that can get anything done for them. They
Yeah.
haven't seen anything from her the entire vice presidency. That was on purpose. But anyways, how are they supposed to like just automatically have trust in her to take over the reins as soon as Biden? Most of them don't believe Biden is going to make it to the end of his term. The same
Yeah.
people that say they'll vote for him don't think he's going to make it to the end of his term.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Kamala Harris is polling as absolutely awful against the Republicans that she could. So why would they? Why would the Democrats want to fall in line behind somebody proving that they're not going to win?
Yeah. I mean,
Time
I
to-
don't know, but I think it's kind of like it's a weird thing because I know they have Gavin Newsom in the wings and have um, Whitmore in the wings, but it's
Yeah,
like this is for you, the Democrats. This is not the time to run because at the end of the day, I was concerned that if Republicans get their act together and elect another nominee, that we would have a hard time beating them. But it's even worse when Trump, who's actually been indicted 4 times, is now leading the president in
yeah.
polling, and that's scary.
What
You
is it
know?
with the Democrats and literally picking the absolute worst possible person they could pick to pin against like Trump? Like Hillary Clinton lost not because she was a Democrat, but because she was Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, because of the
She was
name.
uniquely unlikable
Yeah,
to the general populace of the United States. And polls always say like generic Democrat would win. So maybe this whole thing about name recognition is not that important. You know what I mean? Like if they will vote for generic Democrat, isn't Dean Phillips generic Democrat?
the problem is name recognition is important when people don't know who you are, but once people know who you are, it really becomes not important. It's like Chris Christie. He's at 1%. Everyone knows who Chris Christie is.
Yeah,
It's like, but people don't like you. So it's like
yeah.
that's another problem. And it's like when people don't know you, you have room to grow. But when people know who you are, there's no room to grow.
That's kind of the
And
same thing with with like experience too. Like
yeah,
experience does matter,
hmm
but if you're comparing somebody whose experience in their experience has proven them to be a failure, and that they have the whole thing is like a bad experience, like to prove
hmm
against somebody that doesn't have experience, like just having experience doesn't make you better if you're proven. You know what I mean? So
no, exactly. It's the same thing. It's like at the end of the day, your strength comes from in politics comes from people know who you are. But that can be like you said, twofold. It could be they know you for the good, or they can know you for the bad. and and the problem is people know Biden. They know he's a good person, but he's 80. They know Kamala's
he's,
not.
he's older than 80, right?
Yeah, he's older than 80.
That's
They
even
know Kamala
more.
Harris, but no one trusts Kamala Harris to on big national issues
Yeah,
because it's like, and that's the problem. It's like no one wants to turn the keys over to you because they don't feel as if you have the depth and the skills to be a president.
yeah,
And the same thing, it's the same scenario that happened with John McCain and Sarah Palin. It was like
yeah. That's true. Actually, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, the same dynamic. John Biden, Joe.
John McCain was a really popular Republican
He,
amongst
he was.
Republicans and even amongst Democrats.
He
He seemed
was.
like a good choice.
Yeah, but since you elected Sarah Palin, people were like, "How old are you again? You're 78, 80 at the time he was running."
Yeah,
Even though he'd made it all 8 years, but it still was like at the time people were voting, they were like, "No way, we're turning the keys over to this woman who can't even tell us where's Russia on her own map." It's like there's no way.
yeah,
So
she seemed very, very kooky, and like she didn't seem like somebody that could take over as president. And yeah, exactly, like it wasn't even that she was the vice president; it was that she was there with a really old man,
mhm,
that you didn't have confidence that was going to make it through his term. So,
yeah,
like most vice presidencies do not matter.
they
That's
don't.
why I'm so irritated that they picked somebody that was not popular,
Well, they
because
had to
this
pick.
was the most important vice presidency you could have. Because Biden is the oldest president ever,
But
literally.
see, they had to secure the black women vote, and that
But the Democratic Party has 100% of the Democratic, like the black women vote, right?
that's
How
true.
many of them vote for Republicans? I guess they had to bring out the vote because
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
they weren't
So it
going
was
to vote
more.
for someone else. But
Yeah, so I think they brought out the vote doing
yeah,
with her, but I just don't see. She hasn't shown for me, and I'm gonna say I want to be fair to her because I really don't pay attention to her much
yeah,
now as a VP.
you have to pay a lot of
So
attention to know what she's doing. That's the thing.
yeah, it's like exactly. I'm not really. She's not really making news for anything either.
Yeah,
So I don't really know exactly what she's doing, but I do know she's at the problem she's always had, and the problem she's always had is just she's never had a personality, and
she's
that was
she's not authentic.
she's not authentic. She's had that problem when she ran for president, and she still have the problem now. Like people like to know who they're getting in bed with.
Yeah,
For lack of better, that's not the best way to say that. People want, it works better when they're guys versus than when we're talking about women. But people want to know who you are essentially.
yeah.
Yeah, and
They want to know if they can trust you. They want to know if you're somebody that I won't say represents, but somebody that is you. You know what I mean? You're like, I could have a conversation with this person. That's why they say, oh, I could have a beer with George Bush, blah, blah, blah.
hmm
They want to know that you're a normal person that's relatable.
yeah, and that's the thing about Biden. Everybody knows Biden. Everybody knows like,
Yeah.
hey, he's everybody know who he is. I mean,
They probably like Biden more because of his gaffes.
yeah,
You know?
he's authentic, and we know who he is, and we know who Trump is. Unfortunately, we know who Barack Obama is, and that's
Mhm.
crazy because Barack Obama really wasn't on the national stage until he ran for presidency, and we quickly adopted him because he was a populist person. So we quickly
Yeah,
he
that's
was,
true.
he was a celebrity to us, and
Yeah.
so we quickly adopted him, and then we started kind of like
He was very
piercing
easy
his
to like.
life.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it was easy. Like, and we pierced through his life,
Yeah.
and so we got to know who he really was. I mean, and plus he had books written about him, and so we got to understand who he was. But for her, it's almost like no one knows who she really is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird for that to happen when someone's been she was an attorney general for the California.
Yeah.
Now she was a senator for California,
Yeah. With
and
both. Yeah.
people still don't know who she is. It's like all I remember her high moments was she was the one who ripped got what
Yeah. I was
what
gonna
which
say
one?
she attacked Biden in the debate for the
I
busing.
remember her for that. Yeah, that was a low blow, and I think that's what killed her presidency. But
No, what I know the exact moment that killed her presidency, and it was
yeah,
with when Tulsi Gabbard brought up like her record as Attorney General, like throwing people in jail
yeah, I remember
for
that.
smoking weed and for using prisoners with like slave labor or whatever to put out fires, or no, they're paying them like 5 cents an hour or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, Tulsi Gabbard's trash now, but that she was very important in that moment, and it brought to light like, yeah, you have a record, but you have a record. We can see what
yeah,
you did. You know,
exactly.
not
Um,
all experience is good experience.
yeah, you were just saying that. It's true. You're like, now we know who you are. And unfortunately, you did a bad job of establishing who you are in the beginning. Because if you did a good job, that wouldn't even hurt you as bad.
Yeah,
But when you do a bad job, that becomes like, ugh, we didn't know that about you. You know, sometimes it's better in politics is to let people know you're bad early. You know, like Barack Obama did that. He
yeah,
said, hey, I smoke pot and you
or at
know,
least just own up to your flaws.
yeah, own up to your flaws early so then people can't turn back around and be like, oh, you try to keep that secret. So now
Yeah,
you because are authentic, you know.
yeah,
It's better just to like, hey, this is my flaws. This, you can live with them, or you know.
yeah. Hiding something makes it seem like it's worse than it is, regardless, just because you tried to hide it. If you
Yeah, because
own up to your mistakes and be like, yeah, that's some person I used to be, but I've become a new person now. I was a long time ago. You know, it's
yeah,
easier to be like, yeah, I forgive him for that. It's a different guy.
yeah, you just gotta be honest about who you are. Like you were attorney general, your job was to prosecute people.
Yeah,
That was your job. And if you would own that, stop trying to say that, you know, like, oh, I changed now. I'm not that person. Is like, okay, and then who are you now? And then you try to say, oh, I'm this person now. And then 6 months later, you're a different person. It's like people are like, who are you? You know, it just say who you are. If you're that mean attorney general lady, that's who you are. You know, and
yeah.
and
But
if
she
you,
also like really plays into this one ego. You know what I mean? I don't know, this one version of her personality where she's like, she acts like she's like the most cheerful person on the planet. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
I
She
seen that.
so disingenuous too.
Yeah, she's like overexcited about something that
Yeah,
shouldn't really be that exciting. So like her, you're talking about the laughing that she
the
does.
laughing. I was gonna compare it to Hillary
Yeah.
Clinton too, like the.
Yes, Hillary Clinton has that fake laughter. Where yeah, it's just like yeah,
Exactly.
they do. I don't know why they're like that. I mean, yeah, but like I said, she had the story, she had the resume. She could have become president,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's really about
Well, if you like them, if you trust them,
yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean.
It's a
That's why
personality
Trump
thing.
and Bernie were the most standout candidates in the races. Like Trump, regardless of having won, he was compared to a bunch of candidates like Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, like all these polished politicians
Yep.
that, you know, they're going off of a script. They're going off of lines that somebody else wrote. Trump made up everything he said on the spot.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And you could tell he put his own flavor into everything. It wasn't just the standard Washington D.C. playbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So
he could
that
defend what
really
he
made people interested. Sorry.
no, you're right, and he could defend everything that he said, even if we may disagree with
You
it.
could defend it by just making up something else.
Yeah, we
You
may disagree how he did it, but he defended everything he said, and so that's what the Democrats are missing, and that's what I think Gavin Newsom has. But the problem with Gavin Newsom is like he's not trying to run now. But he's the only one I know that I
Yeah.
seen that have that skill that can kind of
There's a few people, but he's the most. Uh,
popular right now.
he's yeah. I would say yeah, the most name recognition too.
Yeah, I think you told me about Pritchard in Chicago,
Okay.
but he hasn't gone to the
Pritzker, Tim Walz, Gretchen Whitmer.
they haven't gone to the national scene yet. That's the problem. Maybe Whitmer's more national, but
Yeah,
the other two are not as national.
I still think having a really good record can make you go national really quickly. You know what I mean?
It could make you go national really quickly, but
If you're like, oh, did you realize that the governor of Illinois passed this amount of things?
yeah,
And they'd be like, oh, this is somebody we can take seriously right off the bat. And you know what I mean? I don't think it,
yeah,
we have a whole year until the actual presidency. At the end of the day, it's going to be a Republican against a Democrat.
hmm
More left leaning people are going to vote for the Democrat regardless. and there's a few people that need to be convinced. Those few people, it really matters who is selected, like the personality, not necessarily the name recognition, but who they're being pitted against.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, name recognition gets you to the primary. It gets you to all this sort of stuff. It gets you to the reputation that you have. You get your
Mm-hmm.
record, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it just matters who matters who you're pitted against. If you're on the ballot box, if you're on a Green Party, or if you're somebody like taken seriously. There's a lot of different things that matter, but
Mm-hmm.
once you get to the end point, I guess name recognition matters if you had not heard of them till that moment. So it's hard to put your trust.
It really matters in the primaries, honestly.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not really,
that's that's what matters.
yeah, it's not really in the general. It's not. It's just DNR.
Yeah,
But in the primaries, name ID really matters. Hey, I got one thing I wanted to talk to you about.
sure.
So, from my understanding, Minnesota and Michigan has like very big um, Muslim populations, right? From my
I'm not
understanding.
as familiar with Minnesota, other than the fact that they do have like Ilhan Omar
Yeah.
represents like Minnesota or Minneapolis. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that makes sense. I do know Michigan has like Dearborn is a highly Muslim population. There's a good amount in Detroit metropolitan area, maybe some
Yeah.
in Lansing. So more the east side, there's definitely a large population in proportion to the rest of the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Rashida Tlaib, you know, she
Yeah.
represents
Because
Michigan.
yeah, she represents Michigan too in Congress. But the reason why I was bringing that up, I was reading this report over the weekend that there's been some slippage in the polls from Biden from the Muslim population
Oh yeah,
in
that makes
Michigan.
sense.
Yeah, in Michigan, which is a swing state.
Yeah, that could
I'm
be.
not sure if he's. Do you think he's handling this Israel Hamas thing correctly, or do you think he's like overreaching here?
I think his words have not been terrible. I think at the beginning it was not a good. He didn't react super good, and then he's sort of done a lot better in the last couple of weeks of messaging, being like innocent lives are important, like to preserve. And now he's talking for what pausing the conflicts. You know what I mean, to get innocent civilians out, stuff like that. So he's trying to deal with the actions of the group that he supported.
Yeah,
So I mean, overall, it's not a good message, especially to Muslims who definitely don't aren't going to vote for Trump now.
yeah.
He wanted a Muslim ban. There's no way they're going to switch to Trump, except for the Andrew Tate Muslims. You know, Andrew Tate's a
Okay,
Muslim, so
I
all
didn't
those
know that. It's like a
all those
new
Trump
Muslim.
people.
Is
Sorry.
something new? Is he a new Muslim?
Yeah, he was raised like Christian, just I don't for some reason because he's super socially conservative and doesn't like women or something like that. He decided Islam all of a sudden is the new trend, and there's like a thing like that that's been going around with like conservatives all of a
Yeah,
sudden converting to Islam.
that's
I
interesting.
mean, Islam and Christianity are incredibly similar religions.
Yeah, they're part of the monotheist religions.
They share most of the same concepts. Like Islam
Yeah,
has the first two testaments of the Bible as a part of their like they've like three testaments. There's like the first two, and then there's the Quran.
yeah.
So it's like they are Christian plus. It's they're not a different.
It's
Yeah, I
like
mean it's they're the same religion.
I just say it sounds like a streaming platform.
I know.
It's Christian Plus.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I mean, they're very yeah. They're I mean they're monotheistic. They have the same beliefs. They believe in one God. They believe
they
in
believe in the same God too. That's the thing.
yeah, and the same God. Yeah, they believe in different under their teachings are different, but the concept is the same. They teach
Yeah,
different things, but
it's not even that different the teachings though. That's the thing. I mean, it's just culturally different. But
yeah,
like
well,
even the
the
teachings
concepts
are
are the same.
everything about it is the same except they're in a different region. And since white people are racist, since they're like Arab in a different religion, boom, they're
Yeah.
like the worst thing possible. So, but literally, like Christians and Muslims are the same religion, and they've been fighting like a religious war for almost a millennia. They fought the Crusades. They fought over. Actually, in fact, I don't remember where I was going with that. Never mind. But
Yeah, they fought in crusades and they fought in like um they they fought among each other, Sunni and Shiites. They kind of I would say Jenny says this and it makes me laugh every time she says it, but it's true. Like they're the only religion I know who's willing to die for their religion like that. Um,
there's
and
definitely
so
some weird like Christians who become Marines for that reason. But yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely a part of like the I don't know. There's some part in the Quran that about like jihad and like
uh,
religious
yeah,
violence, that kind of stuff.
there's
You
certain
know,
interpretations they lean on to try
yeah.
to say that they're acting in in the
I mean,
Allah way, but
but Christianity is also like super. What's the word? They're super into like martyrdom. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, Jesus died on the cross for something like virtuous. Now I'm willing. They don't necessarily advocate for killing other people
yeah,
alongside being a martyr, but they still want to
uh,
be like killed for their religion deep down in a weird way. You know what I mean? I went to like a Christian camp and it was like super weird. And they had like a book of they had like a book of martyrs, and literally it's like, bro, we're all about to go to sleep. We have a camp counselor, and he's reading like this super spooky shit, and it's like, oh,
is
it's
he like
about
reading
like
out
like
Revelations?
school shootings, like that kind of shit. We're literally about like Christian martyrs, like the stories behind them. Talking about like these people coming into this building and like lining people up, about to like shoot them all, being like, say that you don't believe in Jesus Christ or I'll shoot you. And she's like, I believe in Jesus Christ with all my heart. Boom, she's dead. And they have like this super in-depth stories of this kind of stuff that they're reading to us because they're like romanticize dying for Jesus or whatever. So
Yeah,
it's just like
that's
I,
pretty intense. Christian camp.
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not exactly the same as how Muslims, have how they've been militarized against or into like religious jihad and like that kind of stuff. But like
Mhm.
Christians are it's so similar. You know what I mean? It's a similar concept. And
Yeah,
I don't know. People need to have some more hindsight of how they behave in relation to the people they supposedly hate.
yeah. I mean, I think politics and religion always goes hand in hand. Honestly,
Yeah, so far it has.
yeah, politics is like that nexus. It connects religion, law, and ideology all in one thing. That's usually what politics is.
Well, it's all downstream from your ego and your identity. And if you identify as a religious person, you identify as a conservative, like that kind of stuff goes in hand. And generally,
Yeah.
if you're religious, you'll be more conservative because you believe in the conservative values of religion. It's pretty
Hmm.
straightforward. So if you're liberal, you're kind of like, I have a little bit more freedom to expand my views. And generally, they
Yeah.
won't be conservative if they're non-religious, but sometimes they are too.
Yeah.
But
And
generally,
I
if you're
think,
not constrained by religion, you can think for yourself and you come to different conclusions.
yeah, I'm in the camp of like ideas because that's why I say liberal or ideas because
So,
the ideas of conservatism is the fact that learning stops at a certain point and then we just hold on to those teachings. The idea doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I think that we're constantly learning. I mean, as humans, we're constantly evolving and being better. Like I don't eat like my grandparents ate. You know,
yeah,
I eat more healthier
Food
because
Pyramid used to say like consume tons of dairy and consume
yeah,
tons of grains and maybe some fruits and vegetables and then a bunch
yeah,
of steak and like that's all you need.
yeah. So there's data and there's research and there's like I don't smoke because guess what? There's it's been known to cause cancer. It's like we take the new information that we take. It's for us to apply it and grow.
Mm.
So for when I hear people that are conservative, I'm like, you may be conservative, but the reality is no one's really conservative.
Yeah,
Constantly learning and we're constantly changing.
conservatism is based on like a pre-decided principles. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If you're a person, you come into the world and you have perspective, and you by conservatism, you're inherently adopting someone else's perspective. You're adopting
Exactly.
the conservative, the traditional perspective, the traditional, way of thinking in politics and in society. That's a
Hmm.
pre-decided ideas that have been passed on from a different time when it was originally like a liberal perspective, you know? Originally it was a new idea and everybody's like, this is great. We're going to stick to this. We're going to stick to this. Time goes on, and it becomes a conservative idea.
Yeah.
Liberal capitalism, the way like Biden's running things, is considered liberal because it's like, it's more liberal in comparison to the U.S. government. But at some point, that's going to be a very conservative ideology.
Yeah.
You know? At some point, it's inherent. That's why like classical liberalism is technically the ideas of the founding fathers and stuff like that, but it's like a right leaning ideology today.
Yeah.
So yeah, we you have to move with the times. You have to move with like more data and more circumstances and material conditions.
Yeah. And as you get more information, your viewpoint changes. I mean, but that's just the big disconnect that we always have because it's like just like gun laws in this country. I mean, I think in Maine, I think he killed what 4 people,
I think it's more than that. It was like eight at least.
8. Okay, it was like 8 people, and then it was like a whole bunch of people were injured that I do
Yeah,
remember. And I remember Ybor City just 2 weekends ago there was a shooting. You,
really,
you know Ybor City,
I
but
do.
Ybor City is like our entertainment section in Tampa, Florida. There was a shooting. Gunman, I think he killed 2, injured like 8 or 9, and we're having a conversation about conservatism and liberal thinking, and it's like now the founding fathers, their intent when you look at the gun laws was to protect themselves from an invasion,
Yeah,
and somehow we took that to saying that we need these people need to hold on to their guns as a recreational thing. It's like we're tying two
yeah.
different concepts into like one. It's like,
They're
yeah,
using old concepts to reaffirm their current like feelings, essentially. Like
yeah,
their
because
own interpretation that's been passed down that isn't really representative of the original intention. Like it says a well regulated militia
yeah,
in the Second Amendment. And they just skip over that entire part of the verse.
yeah,
Right to bear arms. It says it's that's what it means. And a well regulated militia.
yeah, because it's like the reality is like, yeah, I mean, do you want to? Is there a place where there should be gun ownership? I think so, but the
Definitely should be.
idea,
They're
yeah,
definitely, but especially with the amount of guns that we have now, like right now, it's a bunch of conservatives and dangerous people with a lot of hatred owning guns. A lot
yeah,
very fearful of people that they don't understand. So at this point, it's like we need people to be able to defend themselves against the people that already have guns. Honestly, that's the biggest threat. But
yeah, because at the end of the day, we need to focus on mental health. We need to bolster that. We need to not only focus on mental health, but regulate what guns are allowed for people. There's no reason why people should be walking around with AR-15s. It's just like it's not a
you're
weapon of
definitely not
defense.
walking around. I just people open carrying AR-15 slung over the back. That's definitely not a thing that's necessary in society.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily see a reason why an AR-15 is more worthy of being banned than like a regular semi-automatic weapon. I don't think anything automatic should be allowed, obviously. But like
Yeah,
if you pull a trigger, I don't see how one gun is going to prevent any sort of mass shooting when you could also do any other semi-automatic rifle.
have you heard this weekend the Supreme Court's going to hear about the ban on bumps? What's it?
Bump stocks?
Bump stocks.
Oh, I think that's a good thing. I think we should definitely ban bump stocks.
No, no, no. I think that it's banned now. I think they're
Yeah.
trying to. Someone is actually. I'm not too sure. Someone is trying to.
Yeah, I'm just stating my opinion. Yeah. They're probably they're probably gonna overturn it. Even Trump's the one that did it. It was Trump did the bump stock ban. It wasn't Biden. So that's gonna be
Yeah, but
crazy.
Supreme Court wants to hear it.
Oh God. That would be
So
ridiculous. We already have fully automatic weapons banned. Why would you allow a mechanism to create fully automatic weapons being allowed? That doesn't make any sense. And
yeah,
it's not a gun, so it's not part of the Constitution to like have amenities to guns aren't allowed to be banned. That doesn't make any sense, right?
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But the Supreme Court's gonna hear it, and they're
We all
going.
know how that's gonna go.
Yeah, they're gonna say, hey, is it permissible for the Trump era ban to be allowed still? Which I think is insane. That's like the reason why that ban happened is because the guy was sitting in Vegas
Yeah.
shooting out of the freaking what's that hotel?
Hotel, yeah.
I can't think of the hotel. It's at the end of the strip, but it's Mandalay Bay. The Mandalay Bay Hotel, just like shooting and sniping people at what's his name? That country singer.
Jason Aldean?
Jason Aldean's concert,
Yeah.
which
Or
are
I think Luke Bryan was there too. I don't know. I think it was a few.
Luke Bryan was there, but I think Jason Aldean, it was his set that was playing when the
Oh
shooting
yeah,
happened.
you're right.
Yeah. So, and what was crazy about it was like, okay, the people mostly attend Jason Aldean concerts are conservatives.
Yeah, that's true.
Most of them are conservatives, and they were getting fired upon.
Yeah.
And so a conservative, well, air quote, conservative president banned it. Now we have a Supreme Court that's going to be like, oh, maybe he went too far.
They still haven't established why he did it. Nobody knows why that happened.
Yeah, didn't they kill him?
I think he killed himself.
Yeah, so
And nobody has any evidence of why he did it still to this day.
yeah, I think he stayed in that hotel for like a whole entire week. I
Yeah.
think he was going through something.
Clearly.
Well, yeah,
I think he was probably going through something.
more like a mental breakdown. I mean,
I think he's fine.
yeah, clearly he was going through something, but I was talking more so of a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's the whole thing with the policies. It's like, yeah, you can say you're conservative, but the reality is, our founding fathers did not have the idea. They didn't have the. I don't even think the foresight to see that we would have these kind of weapons. You know,
They're making laws for the state of society at that time, which is when they need a militia to defend against the
king.
Like there was literally a war going on when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. Like you can't take that into context.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I mean, I don't know. That's no problem for another day. But yeah, it's something it's a constant battle with the conservative viewpoint. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not logical.
And they're just like hypocritical because they only care about that amendment. They don't care about the Fourth Amendment. They don't care about the Patriot Act that they completely shat all over the entire Fourth Amendment, but with the Patriot Act, and they do not care. They don't care about the Constitution. They care about weapons manufacturers and the profits that contribute to their campaigns, and they still care about the gut urge they have that was instilled with them in their childhood when they're told, oh, you got to fight for gun rights, that's the only American thing, be a patriot, son. Like that's the stuff they care about. They don't care about the actual Constitution or upholding the law in a way that wouldn't be beneficial to them. If it goes against if the Constitution like hurts Trump, then it's like, oh, the Constitution's bad then. They
Yeah.
only care about using it as a tool to attack Democrats.
No, I agree. I mean, but that's a lot of Republican policies. It's just about whatever the Democrats feel and believe,
Yeah.
we're going the complete opposite. That's just how they go. That's how they move.
Yeah. I mean, that's when the Democrats are the one producing all the ideas and proposals. It's
Hmm.
pretty easy to just like mark it and be like, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
You don't have to produce anything original. You just have to say like, I don't want to do what they're doing, and that's my viewpoint.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of what they do. Is like we just got to seem like we're just completely on the opposite side of the Dems, and people will vote for us.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, it's easier to criticize someone who's coming up with ideas instead of coming up with ideas yourself.
Yeah,
It
it's easier
always,
to just create a villain than to create an actual plan.
yeah, because they really don't have a plan. Because even when I mean, look at what they've been trying to do with the Speaker of the House. That
Yeah.
was a disaster. It's
Right.
like that was like you guys can't even elect your own Speaker of the House. You guys want the keys to the country? It's like we're in the middle of two wars. Jesus. Speaking of two wars, what's been happening in Ukraine? Been pretty quiet over there. Well, it hasn't been quiet, but hey,
I mean,
I'm just saying.
they're still fighting. I think, man,
Don't they have to stop because the winter's coming?
what was that?
Don't they have to stop because the winter's coming?
Nah, no, they're still gonna. I mean, they might slow down a little bit, but they'll still be firing rockets at each other for sure. Um, but they're also trying to get funding right now still from the U.S. and
Oh,
isn't that being held up because because the new speaker, I think he's holding up Israel aid or something like that because he doesn't want to fund Ukraine, or somebody doesn't. Maybe it's not the speaker, but there's something being held up in Congress just because they can't agree on, like, they're like, we can't get our funding to Israel because they want us to tie it together with funding for
oh,
Ukraine.
yeah, I remember that. This is that whole thing that this new what's this guy's name?
Mike
The new speaker?
Johnson.
Mike Johnson. Yeah, he's trying to tie the Israel Palestine funding with the Ukraine funding.
I
What?
don't think it's him. I think it was McConnell because I think he was fighting with McConnell over it because I think McConnell's super pro Ukraine and Israel funding, but like,
He's fighting it because I think he wants to tie it to getting rid of the tax, the IRS, the new agents they
yeah,
hired. He wants them to reduce them to get the funding as a bargaining chip.
that's so
And I guess
stupid.
I was like, what does one have to do with the other? But I guess that if you don't want them, you don't want them. But so he started tying it together with them to so that he can release the funding to
I would
them. I mean,
personally rather have IRS funding and no funding for either of these wars, but maybe a little for Israel or Ukraine, but I think we've given them a lot of money, so I don't know. I don't know when we're supposed to draw the line.
we're giving Ukraine a lot. I think we're giving
Which I
Ukraine.
really want them to beat Russia, but I don't want to be tied for a war that's going to last like 15 years. So
And that's everyone's problem. They're like, is this where it's going to end? I mean, we've given them $75 billion so far.
that's that.
Uh,
Really, that's it. I thought it was more, and that's not too bad, honestly.
yeah, 75 billion is not bad.
In comparison to how much we waste yearly on the Pentagon budget, that's not that bad, but still wasteful. If because I mean, it's not all of it. Definitely, some of it's very important, but you know how the military-industrial complex works.
Hmm.
I mean, the military-industrial complex, the Pentagon can't account for what it was like 60 or 40% of their entire budget of where it went and how they spent the money. And they had to do an audit, and I think they failed like 4 audits in a row or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but
Yeah.
like, there's no accountability of what happens with the money that's given to the Pentagon, and there's definitely money that's hidden from the public intentionally. They don't want us to know what they
Are you
do.
talking about black money?
Uh, it's hard to say. We don't know. We don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they have a secret budget
Because,
that
yeah,
doesn't
that's what I'm
report.
saying. It's a secret budget.
Yeah,
Because, I mean, I'm not saying it's equivalent to this, but this is how they like funded the Manhattan Project. You know what I mean?
yeah, secret
There
budget.
was a giant amount of money being designated to a portion of the budget that was aware by like I don't remember how many, like 100 people. I don't know. Yeah, very bare minimum amount of people knew about the Manhattan Project. While a giant amount of money was poured into it. So it's like, how much of this? What are we really? What are they doing with this money?
The black money.
Because some of it could be for legitimate reasons, but so easily could it be for dark money reasons. You're right. Like we know the military-industrial
We
complex.
know. Well, we
But
know that they. Well, we know what the black money it goes to. It goes to special forces, special ops missions. At CIA, it goes to the CIA. So I'm sorry, that's I'm wrong. I'm wrong. The military one doesn't go to the CIA, but it goes to special forces, special ops, special investigation. The CIA has their own budget that they that
yeah,
they which obviously has a secret component to it too. They don't tell you how much they spend to get the CIA, but
I don't even necessarily mean just on military operations. Just the amount of money that they waste on
of
just like
course,
expensive bombs that they're not never gonna drop. That they're just being sold by military contractors, who are capitalists and turning a profit, and they're not really like telling you what the military needs, but really it's more like, oh, this is more advanced than all the other countries, so we're going to buy it because we care so much more about like posturing to the rest of the world than actually being equipped to do with, I
yeah.
mean,
I
we're
mean,
equipped to do with national defense, but like that's not the purpose of why we're doing what we
yeah.
do.
There's a lot of things the military spend money on that just it's just waste.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the military. I mean,
there's
like
just
when
the
I was
U.S. military. Like there's
well,
not
you just the U.S. military. Yeah,
like
I
there's
mean,
every other developed country spends like 8% of what we spend. You know what I
which is
mean?
yeah,
And they're fine. They're not being invaded. They have the capacity to raise their budget if they are. But like we are just doing it year in year out just to posture to the rest of the world. Which at this
yeah.
point I understand, but it's like why don't we have a better society when we're just spending all of the resources we would use to create a better society to posture that we're big and tough to the rest of the world?
Well, the reality is this. I mean, what kills me with them is that they use. We know we have the money,
Yeah.
but they want a lower class. You
Yeah.
know, that's just what I mean. $75 billion. I mean, I don't know what student loan debt is in America, but what is that? Student loan debt.
Well, that's about how much it would cost to fund universal free college education for a year. Like
Okay.
every year for every single American who wanted to go to college could have
Mm-hmm.
completely tuition free college
It
for
costs 75 billion.
that's like the most comprehensive plans. There's ones that go down to like 40 million too. But like the absolute most comprehensive plan. And they could
Jeez.
have done that. And they had the resources the whole time. They just like didn't think it was important, essentially.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Look at this. It said Biden wants armed deal with Israel to be done in complete secrecy. Of course he does. So he wants to do an armed deal with Israel. And I look, I stand with Israel. Um, clearly,
In some contexts, you know what I mean? As a right to exist,
yeah, it's a
as a
right to exist.
country, you know,
But
as a liberal democracy, but like Netanyahu is an autocrat.
yeah, I mean, my only issue with Israel right now is just I understand that they have to protect their homeland, but understand too that this is not 1980s, this is not
Yeah.
1990s. You know, this war optically would change attitudes towards Israel
Yeah,
if they hand, which they already has. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
You have 100,000 people walking on Washington D.C. I mean, it looks pretty bad.
yeah,
So, I mean, for me, I think that they're gonna have to do a very good job of trying to control the narrative here, because right now, seeing dead Palestinian children is not the image they want. I mean, you saw what happened to us in Vietnam. It's like when that started getting broadcasted, people started hating the U.S. military,
yeah. Yeah, that's
and
what I'm saying. It's like just supporting Israel right now would be like saying I support the United States while George Bush is doing the Iraq War. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like yeah, you support the country to exist and like you want them to prosper and stuff, but do you support the actions of their military? Like that doesn't make sense.
no,
They've killed over 3,000, well over 3,000 like children, like babies, toddlers. Like
yeah,
there was what 200 something people were killed. That's really bad and that's awful. But
yeah,
like how is that not something worth bringing up? That because in response, out of reciprocity, out of the need for justice, they killed 10 times as many babies, children, toddlers.
yeah,
Like that is not cool. I
no, it's
think
not.
that very like what's the word? Well respected and like military leaders talk say they could have taken out Hamas with special ops.
They could have taken them out special ops. They
They
didn't
don't
need
need
to do that.
they
They
don't
were
need to
trying to
bomb
send a message.
hospitals.
Yeah, to me, they were trying to send a message.
Yeah, which is and it's also like the Israel's one of the most powerful militaries in the Middle East. They're one of I think two nuclear armed countries in the Middle East. Why they
Mm-hmm.
gotta ask for us for money? Why do we gotta fund the bombs that they're gonna drop on Gaza? Like they have money.
Exactly.
Like I'm not saying like I don't think Israel should take out Hamas. I'm saying why do we have to be the ones funding it? What do we
Yeah,
have to do with it?
yeah. I don't really. I'm not.
They're not really in like major danger. Like the actual attack that happened, they dropped bombs out of hand gliders. They were in like literally they don't have a military. They're just guerrilla
A good,
citizens like
well, it's a
attacking.
terrorist organization. That's
Yeah,
the problem. It's like it's a terrorist organization. We can all say that it's a terrorist organization,
of
and
course.
you can go after that terrorist organization. But the problem is you're muddying the waters when you're saying you're going after a terrorist organization, but you're killing so many civilians.
Yeah.
Like that just it,
If you say Hamas is using children as human shields, and
yeah,
then you just shoot them anyways, doesn't that make
yeah,
you complicit? Aren't you already aware that you're killing innocent people?
exactly.
Like how does that make you any different than Hamas? Hamas is evil. Like they will kill civilians and children. They don't care.
Yeah,
But you will too if it means you can take out a Hamas dude and you can kill three children just trying to take like how are you better? I'm not it's innocent lives are innocent lives. There's not a right or wrong when it comes to innocent people who don't have anything to do with the militaries or the governments.
yeah,
So people just are so willing to loop in all of the Palestinian rights movement with Hamas. And I think that's a lot of the fault of people advocating for Palestinian rights who don't know the difference between a terrorist organization and an actual fight for independence from Israeli occupation.
yeah.
So
It's tough. I mean, it's definitely tough, and they definitely going to do a better job than what they have been doing
yeah.
in terms of marketing this. Because right now, it's like I think Americans kind of fed up. We're like, look, this is not 1980. Yeah, we're pro. I think America's still pro-Israel,
Of
but the
course,
reality is,
so hard.
yeah, we're still pro-Israel. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we are also understanding that the Palestinian people don't have a military; they're defenseless. And as much as we would support Israel, I don't think we're going to support genocide either.
Yeah.
So, and that's what
They're telling them we're going to keep bombing you. We're not going to let you leave, but you need to leave. But we're going to keep bombing you. Like, and they're like, don't fight back though, because then you're
yeah,
complicit with Hamas, and like, it's just people not understanding from that perspective and
exactly.
what it would be like to be a Palestinian in a country right now that doesn't have any electricity, it doesn't have any water, it's being bombed on the daily. The Israeli military says they will stop it. Like, they'll take any means necessary to eliminate Hamas. Doesn't matter how many people die. Like, how could you be in that perspective and not expect this to be the end of it? If you take out Hamas today, what are you creating in the future with all the people that are still in Palestine?
Yeah, what does it look like? And that's the question that I don't think they've answered.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
creating a probably more dangerous militant group in the future than one that
Mhm.
already exists by killing, blatantly and openly killing innocent civilians. So that's like, I support Israel, which is why I don't think they should be doing something that's so detrimental to this conflict or this conflict resolution. This is never going to happen now. You
Yeah,
created something that's going to last decades longer than it had to because you didn't know how the correct response to a terrorist attack, which is let's take out the people that are, we don't have to do it today and take any means necessary, even if it means more people will die than the original incident. You know,
yeah. Hmm.
you have to do it. You think smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
or whatever.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think that I think in their cry of show of force, it's like they've kind of misstepped it a little bit. Like
Yeah,
they were like, "Well, America's going to stand with us." Yeah, of course, we're going to stand with Israel. But at the end of the day, we don't want to stand with 3,000 children dead bodies either.
yeah,
So like, yeah, I'm sorry, it's just, those are not terrorists. Like, and I mean, and that's the same stand I would hope for us in the military if we were doing that. If we were in Iraq, if we are killing children like that, I would say the same thing. It's just war. I mean, war is necessary if you have to do it,
if you
but
have to defend yourself,
you have to defend yourself. Yeah, but you always try to limit the casualties.
yeah,
The innocent people who had nothing to do with it. You try your best to limit it, and I don't think Israel is doing enough to try to limit the damages. I
yeah.
think
They
they're
just tell the U.S. press that they we warned the Palestinians that we're going to do that, and they had to evacuate the area. They can just say that. They don't have to actually. That doesn't have to be true. They don't have to have any proof. Would you send them text messages? Be like, "We're get out of here, bro."
yeah,
No, they just drop bombs, and the people that died, they're like, "Well, we sent messages." Like, they don't care. They assume that all Palestinians think alike, and that's the problem.
that's right. Well, on that note, guys, we're running to an hour, and stay tuned. I know next week we have the debate,
Oh, that's true.
November 8th. Yeah,
We'll
I
see how
know.
it goes.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to be the vice president debate.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
we'll see what happens.
If they're even in the debate, like I still think Trump is probably going to pick Kristi Noem. Like,
Yeah,
she's a safe pick. You know, Trump wants to win. He doesn't care about. I don't know.
it
He's
could
not
be.
going to pick Ramaswamy, guys. Come on.
Yeah, there's only two lunatics. No, there can only be one lunatic on the ballot there.
Yeah, and he's not gonna pick somebody with no experience. He's not gonna pick somebody that is more charismatic than or at an equal level of charisma to him. He's gonna pick
Yeah,
somebody that's safe, that's not gonna hurt the ticket, that could
yep,
even marginally help the ticket. Pretty sure he said he's gonna pick a woman.
yep.
Like, it's gonna be Christian Noem. So
I wouldn't be surprised. So
so
we'll see where that lands. I know we
yeah.
have a couple of his trials coming up
Oh yeah.
next. So we're gonna start talking about that coming forward. Next tomorrow, I believe Ron DeSantis has an endorsement from the governor of Iowa.
Oh, Kim Reynolds.
Yeah, so I don't
I'm such
know.
a nerd for knowing that.
it doesn't matter. It's like you can have. No, I'm not gonna say that, but you can have Ronald Reagan come endorse you, and it's over.
Yeah.
But so yeah, those are things that are coming up this week. Stay tuned for the episode this week. We're gonna try to coordinate it probably right after the debate, so we have some fresh material for you guys and some of the weekly political news that comes out this week. Stephanie, anything?
No, as well said, we will communicate, via Twitter what we're planning on doing. So try to
Yeah.
post this episode onto YouTube tomorrow.
Yep.
Try to get something else coming and working in the mix. Get some new guests on.
Yeah.
We'll cover anything, any breaking news that happens in the next week or so. So
Yeah, guys.
stay tuned.
And yeah, and one last thing, like it's just the holidays, and we know that everyone's getting busy. I'm myself getting married in December, so I definitely understand. We are definitely are wary of that. I mean, not worry about that, but we definitely understand that. So next year we're gonna have a lot of guests that we're gonna try to bring on. We have some cool things we're working on for you guys. So hope you guys stay tuned. See you, see you next week.
See you next week, everybody.